What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to learn one of my favorite false shuffles. It's going to fool absolutely everybody. So grab a deck of cards. I'm going to show you quick trailers of what it looks like, and we're going to jump straight into it. All right, so just for authentication purposes, the deck is in new deck order, okay? But this is gonna work, this is gonna retain the entire deck, but it's also gonna be very helpful if you have it in a certain stacked order. You wanna convince your participants, obviously, that you're trying to shuffle the deck, but really doing something fishy, but it looks very real. So here's what you're gonna do. Instead of putting the deck on your palm, as you normally would with your fingers curled around it, you're gonna elevate it to where it's sitting on the top creases of your finger. If you guys know what this is called, please let me know. I've just been, I don't know why I've never Googled it. But anyway, so you're gonna sit it on these creases like this. So there's a couple of gaps, or I'm sorry, a couple of inches of a gap there between the deck and your palm. Your dominant hand, so I'm dominant with my right hand, I hold the deck with my left. Obviously, if you're the other way, just reverse this. But my right hand is gonna come over and split it down the middle, okay? You're gonna come over, split down the middle, and you're gonna roll it over into your dominant hand. So that way you're replicating the look on both ends. Okay, so I'm just straddling both decks like this, or both packets. Now this next part is gonna take a little bit of practice. So I would just practice this motion. Essentially you take your middle finger, put it underneath the packet, because it's gonna allow you to put pressure with your index fingers. You're essentially just bending the corner, because they need to riffle into each other. Okay, we'll get there in a second, but you're just going to practice this motion with both hands. Okay, it does take a little bit of effort, but you don't need to get the entire packet weaved in. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. You're just gonna get the corners, but just practice this, make this fluid, so that when it comes time to participating, you're not struggling, dropping cards, whatever. All right, so now at this point, middle fingers are below, index on top. You're gonna weave them just at the corners, okay? So you're gonna weave them, actually, and let me say one thing too. The right hand, so my right hand is dominant. I split it into my right hand, okay? This is important. So whichever hand you actually split it into, in this case my right, I need to let 5, 6, 7 cards from here go first at the top, okay? So before everything weaves in, I need to allow 5 or 6 cards to freely leave the rest of the packet. Then I can start weaving everything else in, okay? So essentially this is what's going on here, okay? Everything's weaved into each other. It looks fair, it looks authentic from the front, but you've got a couple of cards or several at the top. Now, we're gonna get to this in just a second, but let me just show you again what's going on here. Once you get these two packets, weave them in, and try and be as authentic as possible, because you want to let the participants see that this looks pretty real. Obviously, they're not gonna see the back, but it doesn't matter, because they think that whatever's going up here is gonna eventually happen back here, especially with the move you're about to learn. Now, with these packets, or with these cards on top, the beautiful thing is that it shields what you're gonna do next. These packets never really interweave, as you may have guessed. So you're gonna let a couple go at the top, you're gonna shield whatever's happening here, and then you're just gonna push it over, okay? This is gonna cover what I'm about to demonstrate. Then you're gonna push the entire deck in. Now that just looked very authentic, but the deck is still in brand new order. Now here's what happened. I'm gonna expose this. You're gonna take the deck, split it, you're gonna riffle them, but leave a couple of cards at the top to hide your motion. Now let's get rid of these for a second. And this is essentially what happens. So I'm using my index and my middle finger on the bottom to cradle it, okay? So you should be able to do this. You should be able to leave it, move your hand away, and it's still being held up by the weaving in your two fingers. These two fingers on the back, the pinky and then the third finger, R is going to be what the deck, this one, pivots around, because you're going to essentially dislodge these. So this is what happens. It dislodges, and then it just comes over and literally feeds right onto the top. Okay, so one more time, like that. And then while it's being hidden by the other cards, dislodges, and literally goes back on top. So you're essentially just doing this. Not even kidding. All right, and now that will take a little bit of practice, so don't, just be patient with it. It'll come with time. Weave it in. You'll naturally do this, so you're not going to be thinking about it a whole lot, but just make sure that when you get a couple of cards at the top, let me just bring these back here. When you push them over, it's going to hide what I just showed you, and you can literally just do it with this hand by just dislodging it. Okay, here, I'll give you one more exposed view right here. All right, cards to hide. It doesn't look like you're doing anything fishy. And then right underneath, look what happens. Dislodge it, it comes right on top. Okay, so now in real time, this is what it looks like. Well, let's see if I can, one more time. All right, there you go, fair enough. It does not have to be perfect, but to the spectator, to the front, to the top, it looks fine. So there, and now I like to struggle a little bit, because if you take an actual deck of cards and you try that motion, it takes a little bit of effort, so you want to sell it. Again, every move you do, you want to make it look like it's natural, because if it looks fishy, if it looks too easy, if something like this, you're just sliding in and then you're just kind of, I don't know, you're going through it really quickly, to anybody else, they might think, okay, that was a little too easy, so I wonder what's going on there. So you don't want to leave any room for doubt. So again, clear a couple, hide, kind of struggle a little bit, push it in, and then I just kind of like to add the riffle, because then that just shows, hey, every card is still there. It looks a little messy. It looks like it was just a little bit difficult to get it in there. So that's what she said. So one more time. Beautiful. Hide it and complete the shuffle. And you've still got, see that entire time? Still got it all in new deck order. The beautiful thing too about this one is that it's not really angle sensitive. So even if somebody were to see this from the back side, or even on the side here, you can't really, I mean, it looks like you're about to go in for a regular shuffle, especially when you do this and you hide. Well, I need more cards there, but especially when you hide it, even on the back side, it doesn't, I mean, you're gonna have to be really far back here in order to see what's going on. So this is a pretty great one, because from all angles, you're gonna be able to hide the move. So there you have it. That's one of my favorite fall shuffles. It's called the Vice Shuffle. Be patient with it, give it time. I promise you, once you give it enough time and you've got it in your hands, quite literally, it's gonna be so worth it, because you can ditch all the other shuffles that make it look like you just went into a shop and ordered some kind of book that, you know what I mean. So anyway, give that a practice. Let me know in the comments what you think. If there's anything else that's missing or you have any questions about it, feel free to like this video, subscribe it, and just stay tuned for upcoming videos.